Hello and welcome to Whisky.com, where fine spirits meet. And today I'm in the famous German Black Forest. And the Black Forest is behind me. And yes, this is our fall or autumn tour. And it's a bit shorter this year because of personal reasons. But the Black Forest is a famous region for all of its mystical creatures and trees. And today we are actually going to a Black Forest distillery in the small city of Emmendingen, and this is called the V-Sinne. V-Sinne is German for five senses, and let's have a look how our five senses are actually affected by this gin. The history of a young startup is usually very short and very young and uneventful, but here we have actually a bit of history that we can touch. In 2016, the young tradesmen, entrepreneurs, Johann Buchmüller and Viktor Svetlov, they actually already had a business, a bit of trading, and they actually were in their office and they thought, hey, let's do a little gin. And back in the days, they had to do 500 milliliters. So it was actually really, really small, and they just made cup of gins worth. And then they actually, in 2017, they actually got a little bit more professional, and they actually showed it to their parents, to their friends, and they were like, yeah, that is really good. And they got into a bit of a bigger still, 50 liters, where they had to get licenses and stuff. And around that time, that was the time when the V-Sinne, that actually stands for five senses, because it all, aspires to all of your senses, and this was then created on these small stills, and in 2018 it actually got on the market, and this is kind of the birthplace of the V-Sinne Distillery, and a lot of more gins and a lot of more experiments followed these years and became what they are today now. And let's have a look how that Botanicals are getting into the gin. The most important thing for a gin is the ingredients, and we have the ingredient for gin, which you have to have in your gin, is the juniper berries, and they give you this fizzily astringent note in your gin. And that's an oil within the juniper berry that actually gives you that flavor. So what you can do is you can either have it very, very long in your alcohol, macerating it to get the oils out, or you can put it inside a still where you have the hot, where you can dilute it a little bit, or you can actually break it up here within a mixer. So it gets mixed a little bit, and then you can get to the inside of the berry, crack it up and get to the oils, because the coating or the hull of the berry is very, very strong and airtight, so the oils can't get out, which is what we want, because we want the oils to be inside and not get out. And then we have rose petals, rose hip and spruce needles. So these give you a very fresh feeling inside your gin, which is for me sometimes a little bit dominant. In the end, it actually looks like this. This is the actual mixture that they have for macerating, which will be used then. So what they do here is they actually pre-process, break up the hips, cut everything and make this kind of mixture. And then the first fresh ingredient, the five senses or V-Sinne distillery actually does fresh ingredients. So the first fresh ingredients is cucumber, but they just chop it up, and I don't think it's in this mixture, and put it inside the still, but we'll see that later. The next fresh ingredient is fresh ginger. This is a huge ginger, and they have to cut it smaller as well, but they use it really fresh. They get delivered here in a very good quality, and this is the ginger. What they then also have is fresh ingredients that are frozen. So we have peel of orange, peel of lemon and peel of lime. Gives you a lot of fresh fruitiness. Then we have the blueberries, also frozen, but they are actually wild blueberries. So they are growing in the woods and harvested. And last but not least, we have the raspberry. And the distillery actually does have a special raspberry gin, which they told me they made the gin and then actually took the raspberries out and thought, hey, can we still use the raspberries, and work together with a local manufacturer that actually produced raspberry jam. And they said, yeah, it was a bit alcoholic, but not too much, but still very tasty. So you get flavors out of the raspberries, but you can still make a good jam out of it. These were 9 ingredients. They actually do use 31 different ingredients, fresh and dried. And we still have pepper, cardamom, and the angelica root, coriander. So the usual ones that we do know. The peppers give you a little bit of spiciness, a little bit of freshness from the cardamom and stuff. And so in total, 31 ingredients, 31 botanicals, which is a lot. And yeah, so let's go downstairs and see what they actually do with the maceration. The next step after the botanicals is actually the maceration. The maceration is that process where you have alcohol and you take the flavors out of your botanicals, your prepared botanicals, and you dilute them into the alcohol. You can do a lot of stuff with that. You can vary the alcohol strength. They actually go down as low as 40% and as high as 70% with their alcohol that they use. But the alcohol has to be by law be neutral. So the alcohol doesn't give any flavor to the gin. It's all because of the ingredients. So depending on the strength they had to try a lot to find out what dilutes at what strength very good, and what flavors you want to have in and what you don't have. That is always the work of a distiller, to check what flavors you want to get out and tweak everything. The next thing is the duration of the maceration. You can leave them in for 24 hours. Here at the V-Sinne, they go for 48 hours minimum, and they go up to a week, where you get pretty much everything out of the ingredients. And then, usually in the distillation, you can filter it or you can put it directly into the still. And here at the distillery, they actually have another step that they sometimes use, is a pressing. So they actually do press all their leftover botanicals to get everything out, and the pressed out stuff is actually different in flavor than what you get out of the normal one. And they don't do all of their ingredients pressed, and they said it's a secret what they're gonna press. And I tried to get some information, but I didn't get but that much. So their kind of secret process is the pressing of the macerated good after the maceration. After the maceration, you can still tweak the gin a little bit through the distillation, and let's have a look how that is done. Next up from maceration is the distillation. The V-Sinne Distillery is a bit of a startup, I would say. So they actually bought the still used condition from a local fruit schnapps distiller, or I think wine distiller, and it was really bad shape. So it actually used to be fired with either coal or wood, and they don't do that because they don't have a chimney. And so they converted it to actually an electric still, and that is really good because they have a lot of solar panels on the roof, so they can use that energy to still here, and you can actually very, very much fine tune it. And that's what they want to have here. They want to have kind of a slow and mild distillation. That is even more important at the distilling of gin, because you have the aroma basket with the botanicals inside. And you can, if you are too hot, it takes out the flavors in an unwanted way. So they want to do it in a very slow way. When they got the still, it was really, as I said, in bad shape. They had to change a lot of tubing, they had to change a lot of seals, they had to change glasses. And what was very important was there are plates in there, copper plates, and they were blue. So that was really bad. You want to have the copper touching the alcoholic vapors to have catalytic reactions, and then get the spirit more mild if you have more copper contact. It's then condensed easily, and then here we have the raw gin. Usually when you have neutral alcohol, you only have alcohol, no methyl or propyl or butyl alcohol. These are the bad alcohols. You only want the normal alcohol. You only have normal alcohol in there, so normal alcohol comes out. Still, they do foreshots and feints because they do taste a little bit different, and they want to just have really good taste in their final product. And yeah, it's around 147 liters or something around there, and you can produce about 200, 240, maybe a bit less sometimes, liters or bottles. And that is because of maceration with 40% and 70%. It behaves very different in terms of output. Yeah, talking about output, this is actually the end of the production, and let's have a look how the gin actually tastes. So this was it with the production, and now we're gonna have some of their products. They actually do have quite a big range of products. They have a diverse range of gins. That is their main product, but we can see here there's something else coming up as well. So I'm gonna start off with the V-Sinne Dry Gin, and the V-Sinne is actually directly translated, it would be 5 senses. So they actually wanted to create a product that can be recognized by all the 5 senses of the body. And this is kind of their motto, was their motto, or is still their motto. And so they want to have something you experience the Schwarzwald, the Black Forest in Germany, because this is V-Sinne Schwarzwald Gin, so the 5 senses Black Forest Gin. As I mentioned, with 31 botanicals, and it is kind of their signature, their base recipe. All of the, well, not all of them, but most of the other recipes are somehow based on the dry gin. And yeah, it is as I said, a dry gin, 45% ABV, non-chill filtered, non-colored, and it's from my nose, I do get it as a bit of a lighter gin. If you dig in a little bit deeper, you find a few herbs and a few spices, and you realize there is a bit more depth and more botanicals in this gin. So yeah, it is more of a premium gin, I would say. It's a bit would be too costly or too premium to have too much tonic in that. So let's try it. It's amazingly round, so nicely distilled with a good amount of juniper. So yeah, you feel there's a bit of classical gin vibe going through that glass, but once you've just swallowed it, you feel a lot of spiciness and a lot of oiliness. So I'm a little bit intrigued about, is it about the pressing? Do they press out the last oils? Is that their secret? Because yeah, it has a lot of oils in it. It feels really, you feel the orange peel, but you feel ginger as well, but it has a volume and a glowing sensation in mouth, so a little bit of ginger maybe. For me, it's strange how you can make such a light smelling. When you've swallowed it, it's a bit heftier than light smelling, but at first glance, a bit of a lighter gin with a big volume body, and it's really a good made gin. And from that recipe, they do other gins. For example, they actually use that gin in the raspberry, where they just put a lot of raspberries in the maceration, put gin in it, the dry gin in it, and then have it in the still, again with raspberries distilled, and then they have a huge raspberry infused gin. And they do have other stuffs, other gins as well. And this here is then one of their products that actually resonates very well with our German customers. It's the glue gin. It's one of these spiced wines that you try or that you drink at Christmas markets, where you take, so it's kind of an alternative product. And the spiced wines are a huge thing in Germany, where you have like winter or Christmas markets, where you have wine and you put spices in them and you drink the wine hot. And here what they do have is a gin and berry. So this, what I found is a gin infused berry infused gin, and 15%. It's legally spirit, and then you actually make it hot, go up to about 70 degrees Celsius, and then you add a little bit of apple juice is what they recommend. You can drink it neat, or you can do it with apple gin, and this is similar to what you have with the spiced wines. And yeah, so cheers. It is much more refined than the spiced wine. It has a bit of that feeling, that sweetness. You sugar the spiced wines as well. It is sweeter, but it has the freshness. You feel a bit of juniper in the back. You feel that a little bit, the tingling sensation is gone. That's just not enough juniper in there left. But it feels like a little bit of a methyl freshness, a little bit of that pine coming through, just that alcohol spirit that resonates within this spirit of glue gin. I'm not gonna try more because it's just me taking more and more, but I wanted to show you something that is for you guys out there. I think I've already tried the Star Trek Stardust gin. If you want to know more about that, there is a video up on our channel, and this is color changing gin, and it's actually official Star Trek franchise. So if you're a Trekkie and you have the next binge watching Trekkie night, then this one is for you. And next up is the one for the TNG and kind of TOS fans. I'm more of a TOS guy, and it's the Star Trek Aldebaran. And they actually, the Federation doesn't have as strict rules as the EU does, because this is the Aldebaran spirit. Because they had in the series, they had the Aldebaran whiskey, but whiskey as defined, you're not allowed to color it, although you're allowed to color it, but only to reinforce the color or something like that. I don't know. You're not allowed to make whiskey green, and the favorite line is, it is green from data 2369. And yeah, it's inspired by the Aldebaran whiskey within the series, and it's 38% of 4-year-old malt whiskey, so they are only allowed to call it a spirit. And for everybody who was thinking about what is the other 5%, and the answer is water. So they actually take whiskey and water it a little bit down to make it more drinkable, and that is then the Star Trek Aldebaran whiskey. I have said it, but it's called a spirit. So this was it with the distillery at V-Sinne, and thank you very much for watching. See you next time.